welcome to Degen Digest, by the way. We're on. Back with you again. We got some special guests today. Ryan from Virtue Poker. He's going to be showing off this Virtue Poker tournament that's going on right now that Neo Tokyo News is helping to coordinate. Well, our main players look like they're out already, unfortunately. But we still got some citizens in the mix trying to battle with the Virtue Poker veterans there. And then we also have Hustlepedia with us today. Thanks so much for joining us, Hustle. Great to see you on here. How you been doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Market's been all right in the gaming sector with some recent launches, and excited to chat some GambleFi coins as well today. Pleasure as always.
Awesome. So yeah, we're going to be looking at this tournament. We're going to be going into some Turbo TA with Champsy. We're going to be doing some DePiin narrative evaluation and looking at the GambleFi scene, as well as, checking out the finals of this tournament once it gets down to it. Shooting to see if looks like B-Pod is still in there. We got a couple citizens battling it out. What can you show us there, Ryan?
Yeah, so it looks like B-Pod's all in right now, so we'll see how this shakes out. But yeah, just for some context, we put together a tournament and we gated it, where if you were an S1 or S2 from Neo Tokyo, or looks like he's ahead, or if you held 5,000 BPP tokens, you could enter this, and it takes it down.
Let's go! You hit the aces, baby!
Hit it. So
Yes,
tournament kicked off about an hour and a half ago with 177 players. We're down to the final 39. Looks like our top citizen in here is Felonious Monk, so we'll see how he does, and yeah, we'll check in with them later.
This video is sponsored by Virtue Poker, which is your all-in-one destination for creating poker games, organizing tournaments, and connecting with friends. There's customizable features and the ability to form your own poker club. So it's the ultimate platform for enhancing your skills and playing with your community or outside it. Visit virtue.poker to get started instantly. Can we also just mention that Phoenix Down did take an L, so just putting that out there for those of you who are Phoenix Down fanatics.
Phoenix Down happened to bust just before we came on air here, so unfortunately he's going to have to give it another go and go back to the drawing board.
He talked a big story, but him and Flower have been representing well for Neo Tokyo News. That's been a little side hustle for our crew here to try and raise up some funds for our team. We're sending them out in all the tournaments, and they're coming home with some VPP pretty much every day.
Yeah, no, Neo Tokyo guys have been great. They're like the first, just because we were already in it, community that we've been working with, and having the feedback from the guys has paid off for both them and us.
Awesome. Well, why don't we throw it over to Champsy to get us going with some Turbo TA here. What are we looking at today, my man?
All right, man. So let me show you the Solana chart to start off with, because I have something very interesting. Oh, shit. How did I get in there? Does anybody know how to get rid of this thing? Oh, there you go. Sorry. SBF has a bad habit in being places where he's not supposed to be in. But right now, he is exactly where he's supposed to be. So let's just throw that out there. We covered a little bit of TA yesterday on NFT Market Monday, but I quickly want to go over some things in Bitcoin. We're still battling this 52K resistance. We had a small little drop of 3.5% today. Nothing really major. Bitcoin has recovered the bulk of it. Again, like I say, for those of you who are trying to catch a breakout, for those of you who are not sure right now, I would maybe wait for a confirmed breakout and then add to your longs if you're trading. Or even if you're, looking to add to your investment bags and you're a little off sidelined, or you found some cool new tech like DePiin or something, add it when you see a breakout. Otherwise, the downside scenario is not something that I really want to talk about because, we are supposed to be monkey mode bullish, so I'm sticking to what's on brand. One thing that is worrying me, though, and I mentioned this yesterday, is that altcoins aren't necessarily following the aggression that Bitcoin has shown, or even Ethereum has shown. I mean, Ethereum broke $3,000. Congratulations to everybody watching, by the way. We're making moves in the industry. But, AVAX, Solana, they're creating these lower highs on the daily that are making me a little bearish, or not bearish, but just wary of the fact that, if we start tumbling back down, we could see a $64 Solana or at least an $80 Solana. I know, but we're just probably shaking his head right now. But just the idea of a 40% drop in the market is not far-fetched at the highs that we're in, and maybe this is the last dip before the halving. So just keep that in mind. I am looking at Myro as a coin that I have recently put some money behind. And the reason why I put money behind it is, I put a whole bunch of money behind it over here. And I thought, okay, we're going up 60%, all is good. And now we're taking a downturn. So if things get back to, the 0.55 cent level, I'm going to look to long. I don't know what you guys think about that, but I think it's a pretty cool coin to catch another say narrative that we caught a couple of weeks ago or last week. So that's what I'm looking at right now. But speaking of Solana coins, we have a Solana connoisseur with us. So I just want to ask Mr. Budwudja, do you have any coins that you're looking at in the Solana ecosystem since we are in Turbo TA right now?
Yeah. So we saw Nosana run up. Nosana here, I guess I'll share. I'm not as prepared as the Turbo TA god over there. But we saw Nosana run up. It hit like 350, like AI play. There's a few other AI plays that just recently released on Solana. Dither. Now, it's vaporware, right? Vaporware until proven otherwise. So make sure, it's not financial advice and you're doing all your checks there. But it's an AI play on Solana. It's like down to around 9 million, I think, currently. Market cap. So that's one I've been watching. We did pretty well on that when it launched. Another one that I think has potential legs. Let me see. Honey, we've talked about Hive Mapper. We're going to talk about DePiin stuff later. So I like Honey. But even outside of Solana ecosystem, like a lot of the altcoin charts do look kind of primed. Arweave, like I know we're talking about decentralized file storage. Everyone's kind of talking about Filecoin right now. Arweave, I think, is pretty slept on, especially since Arweave already has all the supply out. So, you don't have to worry about as much dilution as you might with like something like Filecoin. And it's still under $1 billion for their market cap, and they're fully diluted, like I said, because the total circulating supply is out. So that could be one if you're looking to get into some type of storage play. And then from there, it's kind of just like a crapshoot, right? Like I'm actually planning on adding to my list here now that we got, the Gambling Degens, which is right up my alley on the call to give us some guidance. So, but those are a few that I would definitely look out for. I got some other like super tiny micro caps that maybe, stick around to the end of the show. Maybe we mentioned. So that way, no one is watching anymore because we're all just degenning. We've degened away from all the alpha we're getting from Ryan and Johnny. So,
hey man, careful with those. Hustled on the show. We might pump and dump an entire market, so you don't want to play around with that. But yeah, I've also got some dry powder for the gambling coins, so definitely going to be waiting on that. Funny you mentioned DePiin and Filecoin because this has been all over my timeline, and I just have to talk about it. The Filecoin narrative and the whole DePiin narrative is so strong right now that I just can't help but just look at the weekly chart on Filecoin and just again be a bit monkey mode bullish and just say to myself that if we were to go to all-time highs, which if the narrative continues with the speed that it is continuing, it's not far-fetched. We're looking at a 30x on Filecoin alone. What are the tokens underneath the ecosystem going to do? That's out of my hands. But if you guys want, we could have a quick little discussion about DePiin, what it is, and what you guys think about the technology, what's the future of it. Any takers? Anybody who's done any research on it?
I think we should definitely jump into that. Any comments on this first part, though, Hustle, in terms of the overall markets and where we're at right now?
I think it's been good to see the rally after the ETF sell-off and heading into the halving. I honestly expect a little bit more bullish movement across the market for the short term. I mean, it's the all-time catalyst that we've all come to know, and every single time it's come through, that might cause a little fear because it's like everyone's thinking the halving is going to cause some bullish momentum. So sometimes you want to be contrarian, but it is the one metric that's never failed. So at the end of the day, you can't really fade that. I'm looking for more bullish price action for the next 60 days up to the halving, in my opinion.
Not a bad
awesome.
take. What do you think about the vibes being anywhere around 2020 to 2021? Where in end of 2020, DeFi summer, heading into the 2021, we had that kind of run up of Bitcoin. Q1 altcoins kind of went crazy. Bitcoin hit that high, 55K, and then we just had that crushing 40-60% pullback in April of 2021, and then into new all-time highs throughout the end of the year. Anybody seeing any similarities there, or thinking nah, it's not a chance? Or Just wondering. I got told it was a really bad take on Twitter, so I need to, I need some experts to tell me if I'm an idiot here.
I mean, I always just kind of followed historically. I'm more of like coming from the ETH perspective, but when ETH cracked 500, I think it was December 2020, right when the Beacon chain went live, and that seemed to kind of kick off like this circus around narrative that also compounded with the pre-interest rates, zero interest rate market. Led to like that bullish activity. So like I feel like a lot of the space is both narrative driven when there's an underlying like macro positive environment. And right now I feel like we're macro neutral, but we have strong narrative with the ETH ETF coming up into the halving. So like I kind of share Hustle's sentiment that it might not be a long-term play, but like in the short term, all the bad news came out last year, right? We got through that, and it seems like we're in a pretty kind of clear open highway here going forward.
Up only.
Yeah, man. Coin
Also,
price
you wanna
higher.
follow that?
No, I mean, kind of just my sentiment. I think this momentum from the ETF and halving is going to have its run, but maybe around the halving is going to be that time where we do see money taking profits, a little bit of liquidity maybe filtering out in the short term, and then there'll be maybe some sideways trading to negative trading action, in my opinion, and then we'll kind of really kickstart that real, next blow off top bull market that we're used to seeing. But this ETF halving catalyst, we've never seen it before. And that's why I'm very bullish in the short term. Like we had the ETF, which is a one-time thing. Like it's just never happened before. And then we have Bitcoin's most bullish metric within 3 months of each other. I just think it's a recipe for, great price action. We'll see where it goes. I'm not going to be like, we're going to hit 67K, this time we're going to see this new all-time high. I don't think we see that necessarily. Obviously, if we do, hallelujah, I'd love that. My bags will love it. But at the same time, I think this is a unique time period. We'll kind of see some cool off after the halving, and then we really kind of kickstart that next cycle.
Yeah, I think much like the ETF was somewhat of a sell the news event in the very, very short term. I mean, price pumped up all the way up until the ETF, and then Bitcoin corrected 30%. Then went right back up and then beyond. I think the halvening can be something very, very similar where, people who've been accumulating just try and sell the news, but then they just get left in the dust. And then after that, we go turbo up. So definitely bullish into the halving. But I have prepared something, Zeha, if you don't mind. We have this little classroom going on. I have prepared a little something on DePiin for a lot of students who are listening to us, people that might be interested. So if I have your permission, shall we dive in?
Let's do it, man.
All right, so DePiin, what the fuck is it, and why do I keep seeing this on Twitter, and why should I care? I'm sure a lot of people are thinking about it that way, and the gong is going off. That means this is a new segment right now. For all of you on the call, feel free to jump on, and let's just discuss DePiin. I feel like it's a pretty cool tech. It's been here for a long time, but I feel like it's just materializing right now in a way that is just so hot for the last month and a half, 2 months, that we haven't seen this type of engagement with this particular tech before. So what is DePiin? DePiin stands for Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Networks. Now, I'm not going to bore you. Let me present to you the Uber business model. So you cannot buy 1,000 or 10,000 cars, but you can make an app that uses existing car owners and their cars to create physical infrastructure network. You see what I'm doing there? Physical infrastructure using the cars. It's a network of cars, right? And then the owners of the cars are rewarded with dollars for fulfilling their car rides. Now, keep the reward system in mind because I'm going to translate that into our crypto monkey mind in just a second. So, but with DePiin, we can think of a lot of things. We can think of sensors. We can think of wireless tech, 5G. So, if you want to set up a 5G network, you need a lot of physical signal creating, nodes. You need things like that. With DePiin, you don't actually need to set up the infrastructure from the get-go. You can use existing infrastructure almost like a proxy, almost like a hotspot actually, and then try and create a mesh with infrastructure that already exists. This allows you to be cheaper in cost and also expand in a way that is, so much faster than traditional ways of doing business. So give me a monkey brain crypto analogy. So Helium, the Helium ecosystem, their infrastructure, which is a glorified mesh of hotspots. They have IoTs, they have mobile infrastructure. they're allowing you since 2019 to pay $20 a month for unlimited data, text messages, phone plans, and a couple more things nationwide. So I'm assuming it's in the US. And a pretty
Yeah,
cool
and I
thing that I
use
want to
it.
share. Huh?
I use it. It's pretty good. I use it. I use it on
Oh,
my
really?
Saga phone. The Helium cell phone service. I mine HNT by basically does like mapping. So as you're walking around, it's sending out mapping events to get better service signal, and it reports back. And I've been making enough every month to pay off the cell phone service. So that's pretty bullish right there. I mean, obviously less rewards for more people that use it, but I think you guys should get active. Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off. Just wanted to give my endorsement there.
No. It's good that you mentioned that, because I was going to bring this tweet up about Solana and Filecoin teaming up, and even in the Binance paper that I'm going to pull up in a second, just to show you guys some diagrams on the entire ecosystem. There's a lot of mention of the Solana phone and how they're going to use Solana as a chain to access historical data that they're going to have an enhanced accessibility to using Filecoin. So Filecoin's storage mechanism mixed with Solana and their speed and their ease of doing business, I think it's a pretty cool unison of bringing two things together. Makes me feel very good about buying my Saga phone. But for those of you who are actually, a bit nerdy with these things and you're interested in what's actually happening deep into the ecosystem, there's a paper that Binance launched. It's called DePiin and Emerging Narrative. You can have a look at that. I'll show you guys just a mesh of all the ecosystem that we have available to us right now. There's Akash Network. There's there's HNT. There's obviously Filecoin, and there's a lot of things you can do. There's computational power, where let me actually show you, because this is actually fucking insane. So if you compare Akash Network to something like Amazon Web Services, you're looking at a 6x cheaper price of computational power. That's GPUs, that's your server power that you need. So you guys can see this from the Binance report over here. They did a deep dive in January and they released it recently. It's pretty good. I recommend reading through back to front. So Akash, in theory, is giving you nearly 5.8. Can you guys imagine how good this would be for gaming infrastructure? How cheaply you can expand your existing networks of whatever it is that you're doing. And I just think it's stuff like this just tells me that it's a no-brainer, even with the wireless thing. But Wood just said he's using it, so that's a real world use case. And then you have storage, which brings you into Filecoin, and that ties us back into the fact that Filecoin as a narrative is going to be just pumping out the gate. So yeah, I just thought that not bringing up DePiin would be a disservice in judging by how heated the markets are right now. And for those of you who haven't done your research, I recommend go do your research. If you have a little bag somewhere, throw it in a couple of coins after doing some research. I think it's a pretty cool narrative, and it has legs because it has real world use cases like gaming. I think something like this can be implemented very easily and scaled to a good size. So that's that.
Beautiful. Nice presentation there, Shomsy. I really like any of these narratives and applications that have real world, the real world application where you could actually see crypto tech making people's lives better, or, when you have these situations where computational availability is becoming limited because of the demand, this is an answer that could really have a serious use case, and I think that's why we're seeing it, start to really pump. What do you say, Hustle? My thoughts on these things is we tend to hear about them after they're really pumping. I know these things have a lot more room to run, but we don't want to encourage people to go jump in and buy something right when it's on the peak, and then they sell it, and then they go buy the next peak or whatever. So, what are you thinking about these DePiin narrative right now?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just the type of investor, I like just banking my money into certain niches that I'm just super familiar with and just hyper focused on. And for me, that's gaming, it's GambleFi, and it's AI. Those are my three token bags I'm willing to kind of go and obviously I have my layer ones, layer twos, those types of things. But at the same time, if I was to tell you I'm an expert in all these different protocols, I would be a complete just liar. And a master of all. I don't remember exactly the term, but a master of all is actually a master of none. So I'm looking to consolidate my focus, and I know that the gaming narrative for me is going to be that vehicle that can get me, the type of gains and the eventual exit in the markets that I'm looking for. So I kind of consolidate my focus there. I'm not too in tune with the RWA DePiin narrative, but similar to But Would Ya, I do run Helium on my phone, and it does pay for itself. So I do see the use case there whenever I do use my Soul phone, for example.
Yeah, I actually remember Juan Benet came into the consensus office. I forgot what year, like 2016, with the Filecoin white paper, and yeah, that was definitely a miss of mine. But it seems to just be like one of those types of foundational components to Web3 ecosystem, which is decentralized file storage. Like a lot of NFTs, they actually put the physical image and have a hash and store it on Filecoin. I feel like that narrative, it's not a narrative, it's like a foundational piece. I actually had missed my timeline, the DePiin narrative, but it's like super fascinating. There's another friend of mine who's doing, I feel like this fits in the right narrative, but it's essentially connecting your car data in an open network that allows you to get paid through sharing your connectivity to your car. So it could like lower your insurance payments, and it's data that would be valuable to insurance companies, car manufacturers, things like that. And I feel like that is something that could play into the DePiin narrative. And I wasn't trying to shill this project. It was just the first thing that came to mind after you did your presentation.
Yeah, I think peer-to-peer networks are the way forward. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, we talked about DePiin previously. I just think it's gonna heat up. Anyone out there should read the Masari report on DePiin. It's really good. It's super in depth, and it definitely gives a lot of different projects, what they're doing, what's going on, how they're going to be impacting the main 6 kind of sectors that DePiin is kind of going after currently, which would be wireless, compute, AI, energy, sensors, and services. So this is what we're showing right here. There's a bunch of great information packed in here. I've read through it once. You can see that flywheel right there to kind of give you a better idea of how it's going to affect and how they're going to keep things going. I do think I think a lot of projects, we're just not familiar with the DePiin term, but a lot of projects that we do know, are like, oh, I didn't realize that's DePiin. You know what I mean? Kind of just putting that label on it. Like Render, for example. Everyone in here knows what Render is, but no, I don't think any of us really called it DePiin until this term got popularized. So I think there's going to be a lot of that. But there's a few really cool ones coming. So again, I won't chill on here, but just scroll through this. You'll find a lot of quote unquote alpha, if you will. So yeah, that's my take on DePiin.
Good stuff. Yeah, it's definitely some overlap with AI in there too. So definitely some to keep an eye on. Speaking of keeping an eye on stuff, well, how's this tournament going there, Ryan? Where are we at? How many players we got left?
Yeah, so we're down to the final 16 here, and it looks like our boy Felonious Monk is killing it. He's still
Let's go
back here. We'll see. Oh, we got another citizen in here. I'm not familiar with Yakuto. It looks like he just jammed. Let's see how he does. But getting down to the finish line here for sure.
It's really cool too, and I believe, like you were saying, Ryan, all the top 25 finishers all get 1,000 VPP as well as some cash prizes for the final table.
Yeah, so what we've been doing, especially while we've been in beta here. Oh, here's interesting. Oh, he's getting that is killer.
Jack.
Essentially, what we've been doing since we relaunched with the new product is we've been running a lot of different token gated events. We did one for with Hustle's this thing of ours community, and we kind of seed a lot of these tournaments with both cash prizes and VPP, and then we create VPP gated events that we host every single day, just to essentially make it so that people can try out and check out the app without having to put anything at stake to get started. So far, it's been a good way for us to help scale both on the community and user front without having people having to put too much up front.
Yeah, it seems like it's working. I had some people jumping in. We were just playing like some friendly games yesterday, and I started like my own lobby and got everything going. And yeah, super simple to sign up. The website doesn't lie. Start your lobby in seconds. So love that.
Yeah, and we've taken, like, I think especially this cycle, and we started seeing it last cycle. We're seeing like it's a multi-chain future. It's not necessarily going to be one chain to rule them all. So like this kind of iteration, you can sign up with MetaMask, you can sign up with Phantom, and then I think tomorrow we're launching Xverse, and we're going to get into the ordinal space. So it seems that people are kind of becoming both asset holders and multiple chains, multiple projects. I'm starting to see like a much bigger mix versus like the ETH and Bitcoin maxi pass that we had.
Good stuff. Well, we'll be jumping back in to check out the final table. Hopefully, we got a couple citizens in there for that one. And we're staying on this topic here because we really did want to do a little bit more of a deep dive into GambleFi, since we got two experts in the field in the house. What do we say? Maybe Hustle, you can start us off with some overview of where things are at in the GambleFi market. Definitely have been listening to you on your regular live streams, and you go over them quite often. So anything you can tell us just for an overview?
Yeah, for sure. I think when you look at the GambleFi niche, it just makes sense. Crypto, GambleFi, we all call ourselves degens. The people at the casinos are degens. Like it does just make sense. And over the decades to centuries that gambling's been around, I don't think that it's ever been a negative profit industry for the business as a whole. So who wouldn't want to kind of get a piece of those types of businesses in your portfolio? I've definitely been narrowing down. I think there's like 5-6 projects that I'm super in tune with, invested in at this point in time, and I do feel like that the narrative has a lot of legs right now. However, like some of the tokens are doing well, but overall, it's interesting to see the one that everyone thinks about, Rollbit, hasn't really been moving much. If anything, it's been moving negatively. So it's kind of been interesting to see like the orange coin, if we're going to make an analogy of GambleFi coins, has kind of been trending downward. Meanwhile, the incumbents, which I think actually some of them do have better product and better, I think, narrative behind them into this cycle, especially after what Rollbit did last year. It did something like 6,000% or something like that. I forget exactly what the total was, but I think that there's just better plays out there at this point in time, and I'm isolating those for sure.
Yeah, with Rollbit already at like a $400 million market cap, I think you're definitely right. People are like, all right, there's got to be some more juice out there for me to squeeze. Ryan, what are you seeing out there?
Yeah, so the whole, and there's kind of like an interesting breakdown in the industry. So you have like your top players, like the Rollbits and Stakes out there, and coming from kind of what we did over the course of the previous several years, you either go the regulated or unregulated route, right? The regulated route is you're getting a gaming license, you're domiciled somewhere, the team's doxed, or you go with the unregulated approach, which if more things are done on chain, doesn't necessarily mean risk to the players, but what you get from that is more market access and less overhead for the project and having to meet all of these different regulatory requirements. So that's one thing to kind of keep an eye out when you're looking at these projects. Another thing that I've noticed is there are a lot of projects that are white labeling software, and they're just essentially sticking on a deposit and withdrawal using crypto. So there's definitely going to be a big difference between projects that homegrown, built the whole software, versus those that white labeled software that was existing and then just kind of slapped on some crypto components and then kind of went ahead and launched. And then there's like a third area that I think super interesting, which is there's a lot of these games that, like, if you're not poker and you're not an existing gambling game, there's like a little bit more gray area in being able to allow people to bet on them. Like, you're creating a Pokemon style game, but you're allowing side bets, things like that. That's an interesting space because it's not exactly clear if they'd have to be licensed or not, and they can probably toe the line and be able to create that type of degen activity without really having the overt risk. So a lot of projects like that emerging. Esports obviously blew up over the previous decade, so that could be a really interesting narrative to where kind of everything is aligned, like low risk, unique product, but be able to allow that kind of degen gambling activity.
Yeah, I want to
All right.
ask Hustle about. Sorry, but would you? Did you have something?
No, I said I like it. I like it. All right.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah, I just wanted to ask Hustle as somebody who creates content on the regular. You know, traditional gambling websites like Stake, or there's so many. They've seen, you know, a big boost in people using Bitcoin and Ethereum to gamble within, and content creation by people like Aiden Ross or you know Kai Cenat, Speed has been such a big booster in pushing those narratives up. Do you think that there's a space where crypto, quote unquote, crypto or Web3 content creators can do something similar for our existing GambleFi platforms?
Yes, I mean, I think that that's obviously on the table. The one thing, like, obviously the budgets vary based on the project, right? And obviously in Web3, there's not a lot of crypto creators yet that are going to demand the same budgets that something like an Aiden Ross is getting from a Stake or any of that type of thing. And kind of like what Ryan said, like, there's definitely a big difference in like a crypto casino and a casino that accepts crypto to on and off ramp. Now, you know, Stake will say you can gamble in different cryptos, but are they really like an on-chain casino? I don't know if Ryan would agree. I would probably say no, right?
No.
So
and there's the interesting thing before like Rollbit and Stake. So like the whole reason why I got into building a poker site back in 2016 with crypto was there was America's Card Room in Bovada, which were the two biggest offshore sites for poker in the US. And all the way back then, they already enabled deposit and withdrawal using Bitcoin. And America's Card Room, like you could deposit using ETH, even when ETH was like $1 way back when. And like over the first 6 to 12 months of launch, it became greater than 60% of all deposits and withdrawals were done in crypto because there's a huge barrier to partnering with different payment providers to get money on and off sites based on licensing. Whereas if you added crypto, it's just a really easy global way that's acceptable in every country to help players get money on and off the sites. So that was the trend that I saw. And then a lot of newer but traditional sites added that as a payment option for that exact reason. Whereas some of like the larger sites, they didn't really have to, like the Poker Stars of the world, because they already had the liquidity. But one thing I would say that you can kind of take away from it is that is the exact awesome utility of crypto, which is creating a global payment system as just the first utility of this entire space. And the gambling industry, like always, was one of the first to adopt it. So I think that type of narrative will not go away. It is just a more efficient, easier way to get money on and off sites. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing if you're not like fully on chain. Yeah, that's my take.
yeah, and I'll have to second what Ryan said. I got into crypto because of Bovada. I'm not even gonna lie, because I was sports betting when I was in college. Yeah, when I was in college, I would sports bet. And you couldn't put your Visa in. Like it wasn't like your Wells Fargo card was gonna go through on these types of sites. They're all based offshore. You know, you're here in America. Your card provider is like, what the heck are you doing? So like they didn't really accept that. So I was depositing Bitcoin as early as like 2015. So it's definitely the easiest way to on ramp into those types of things. But then, you know, with some of these decentralized casino projects coming to the fold, it definitely makes it interesting. Some of the ones where you can kind of be the house, or they have these intricate features that these other providers and incumbents that were early, they just accept crypto as payment, can't really do. I think that's where it becomes interesting.
Yeah, I got my Coinbase account. I'm still banned from Coinbase because I sent $25 to America's Card Room Direct and didn't use an intermediary wallet. They just literally never forgave me for the $25.
Oh no.
Way back in 2016. So
gosh.
I've been pretty anti Coinbase since then. I've been locked out.
Any GambleFi plays that you guys are looking at that you feel like are up and coming or on their way that you've heard of that are, maybe coming to market a little sooner?
Yeah. I mean, I'll start with some unbiased and unbiased. Like I've been chatting with Ryan and the team over what they're doing at Virtue Poker recently, and I've really liked the increase in activity, the amount of communities they're partnering with. My community loved the game whenever they jumped in, and like it's just so easy. Obviously, the prize pools are very generous. So first and foremost, I'm just gonna like go through here. The market cap I think is still pretty dirt cheap, 6.8 million. So I'm a big fan of Virtue Poker personally. I think that it has a lot of potential. Another one I really like and recently got into is called BoxBet. It's a Telegram sports betting bot, and they've been doing really impressive numbers, the amount of wagers they're taking in, the amount of revenue, and they're burning up to 75% of their supply. So every single month they're doing these big burns, and the CEO, his goal is to burn 75% of the supply. Whenever I chatted with them, I was very excited about what they're doing. It's a 15 million market cap, so that's another one I'm currently looking at, and one I recently got into.
Yeah, appreciate the nod there. Yeah, so I would say that when I look at, again, kind of breaking down the different categories here of like, is this a Web 2 product with Web 3 on and off ramp versus is this more of an on-chain game versus like the third category, which is the thing that I'm most interested in, I'd say, and seeing if it blows up, is like the D-race type companies of the world. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the horse racing game like that. So that when you're kind of inventing a new game, that's what I think is super. That's the thing that I'm, as just a bystander, interested in, and seeing if you can popularize something like that. Obviously, the challenge is you have to get over the hurdle of getting people to change behavior to play and bet on a new game. That's the downside. Whereas like casinos are people like blackjack, people like poker, people like playing baccarat, etc. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to just kind of see how things play out. I mean, the one thing that is the most important factor if you are a site that is a real money wagering site is liquidity. Liquidity is the only thing that matters. People go to the place that is the most liquidity. Those apps, because they have liquidity, can offer the best perks and prizes and rake back or promos and things like that. That's why, like, in Web 2, DraftKings just dominated because of all of their promos to get us all hooked early on. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. But yeah, I think that to Hustle's point, the narrative is a tried and true proven thing. That's the benefit of the versus trying to go into, this blue ocean space of like AI. But yeah, going to be interesting to see how things shake out.
Yeah, and I wanted to piggyback off what Ryan just said quickly. I think the horse racing type of games do have really good kind of like a twist of the gambling narrative to them. One that I really like, he mentioned D-Race. I like Crown a lot, Photo Finish Game. It's over on Solana, and they're actually official partners with the Kentucky Derby. The Kentucky Derby's here in a couple of months. I think we could see like an interesting maybe a run-up around the Kentucky Derby because of that partnership. I know that they have some flagship branding there alongside some of like the big partners and big sponsors of the Kentucky Derby. And then to hit on another thing that Ryan mentioned would be the esports wagering niche. And the one project I really like in the esports wagering niche right now is Dubs, Dubbz. It is a esports wagering platform. Right now, they're live with a bunch of Web 2 games, but I recently spoke to the CEO here. They're integrating with about 75 Web 3 games for on-chain wagering, and I'm really bullish on what they're doing over there, especially because I come from the esports industry. I competed in wager matches. I bet $20 that I could 1v1 Shamsi and beat him in Call of Duty type of thing, right? And whoever wins takes the pot. And they're going to be facilitating these wagers for 75 different Web3 projects. I think that it's going to be a really good narrative. And there's not been a lot of esports projects in crypto yet that have like been a success. And I think that what they have with like the combination of esports and GambleFi could really be a good mesh.
Yeah, and Hustle, you might, because you were in the space, you might know this a little better than me. I believe like the one thing that was like a barrier to esports like going full nuclear, I'm talking like Web 2, was because of like who owns the content or something along those lines. I forgot, there was some barrier that created this like fragmentation, but you won't have that in Web3. So if you have a bunch of different Web3 games like Shrapnel and stuff like that that become really popular, you're not going to have those kind of content big company barriers to being able to create like betting around people playing on these games. And that, I totally think like I would be super stoked to see a lot of Web3 games blow up, because then the type of esports type behavior will blow up alongside it because it doesn't have those restrictions.
Yeah, like what you mentioned, it's the corporate, it's the Activisions, it's the Riot Games, it's the Epic Games. They monopolize the esports side to where like you can't have these outside participants come through and like facilitate these things, which kind of puts a cap on it unless you're like in the official esports scene of some of these leagues. Whereas decentralized, these projects aren't owned by Activision and Riot and these big conglomerates they want that happening in their game. They want that activity because the more competition and the more dollars involved, the more people are going to put time into the game, get better at the game, and just, be competitive. So yeah, I agree tenfold.
100%. And that actually goes back to the earlier point on like content creators. Like if you get games that get popular with this kind of betting action on the side, and you have streamers streaming this content, it could be a perfect storm if all of those things come together. It all starts though with users, right? I think like one of the things that I always look at as a good kind of heuristic for the entire industry is like every time there's a new cycle, there's just more individual wallets of people out there who have crypto in them, which means there's just a larger market to go after. So I feel like each cycle we're starting to knock on the door of getting to that point where we can have like that type of app that really breaks through. I'm not exactly too familiar with Mavia. Obviously, they just absolutely went nuclear when they launched. I think it was last week. I think they were like top of the app store in a couple countries. So, things like that will be really cool to see going forward.
Yeah, last cycle we weren't ready for this type of stuff, but it takes a while to build these games, as you've seen building out VPP. So like finally last cycle it was more of an idea with these base examples around these games. Now that we're having games actually hit the market and be real successes on the app stores, we saw Off the Grid announce they're going on Xbox. We have Shrapnel coming out with playtests now. Like there's now products that people can actually jump into. We only need just a few of them to kind of be that killer app and bring people in, and then those apps like we're talking about, these esports apps, etc., could be successes because of that. So I agree.
100%. I think the big thing is no one ever thought about UX when we designed our apps last cycle. We were like, oh, it's just perfectly normal to start with create a wallet and write down these 12 words and don't lose them. Otherwise, you lose everything. Like, I feel like Friend.tech, even though they kind of went bust, or maybe not, I'm not trying to totally FUD them, but like they showed like what the ability of a progressive web app with a built-in wallet could do in terms of onboarding. So that combined with better content in these games, better built games, like I don't know, with him, that's why the narrative exists. It's real.
What do you think about any I've heard some talk about some of these major players in the Web 2, like sports betting, like DraftKings, having some entrance or partnerships into Web 3. Do you see that being a factor in any of these upcoming movements?
Well, so from I know. I don't know. I haven't been doing research recently since we pivoted away from being like licensed real money. I know that like several countries are still pretty anti-crypto interacting with gambling. So like the UK, for example. But like for DraftKings, I believe it was them or FanDuel. I think they started with the NFT collections, which was their like initial foray. I'm not quite sure exactly what direction they will go into next. I will say, though, that for them, the benefit has to outweigh the risk. They're already market leaders in sports betting in the US. Like they've climbed to the top of the mountain. I mean, now it's just a matter of staying there. They beat all the casinos, all the European sports books. So any step that they take, especially as a publicly traded company, they'll have to be, super careful to cross check all the boxes and make sure that the value is there based on the risk.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think that maybe the most we would see is like, and I don't think they're doing this because the one here in Florida, like the Hard Rock bet, they don't do it. Like maybe on and off ramp using crypto, but like I said, it would really have to make more like it has to make more sense than it could have risk. And right now, I don't know that that's going to provide as much upside to a business like a DraftKings or a FanDuel to where these smaller projects in the Web3 space could really use that leverage that Web3 can provide them. So I do think it's a risk reward type of thing. Probably more risk for these big companies that are already at the top of the food chain than the other side that could use Web3 to kind of climb that food chain.
Makes perfect sense. Plus, it seems like these Web 2 groups, conglomerates, when they try and jump into Web 3, they screw it all up anyways and don't know what they're doing.
Always.
Make a big mess. So
Is
it's always like,
that
wait till the big guys come in. And then they come in and it's just like, oh my God.
I'm just
Don't know what
checking.
they're
Is that a
doing.
dig at Yuga Labs, or am I getting this wrong?
Well, I mean, we could include them in that.
Yeah.
I'm down to dig. I don't own any of their assets.
I got to ask on a Spaces earlier this week when this next cycle really kicks off, because it's interesting because retail is not really here yet. We've talked about the Bitcoin ETF and stuff, but even in South Florida, I feel like it's a decently privy area to crypto in Miami. Most people, they'll be like, oh, you do crypto. How's that going? Oh, Bitcoin's 50K. They're like, what? Like they have no idea. So like people don't even pay attention until we're like at all-time highs or higher. So like right now people still don't even care. And it's interesting. So it's like when the new people come in, they're going to see like last cycle, Porsche, all these big like name brands came through and like did these NFTs and they didn't really execute on them. So like I think us seasoned veterans, we're like ignoring that crap. We're like, oh, I'm not going to get involved with that because the success rate on these companies coming through and making something happen, the Adidas thing or whatever that was back in the 2021 cycle, like we've seen so many of that go wrong. But I think the retail, the new incumbents are going to flock to that type of stuff. Like, oh, reputable company, let's go. But I think it's just it's a learning curve, right? Crypto is the biggest life lesson you can have in markets.
Yeah, that's what I was saying was that, this time I think 100K is the new 50K. We're at 50K, barely anybody's talking about it. It's not till it gets really up there that we're going to see that again. Too bad Phoenix Down isn't here to go off on Dolce Gabbana again here. and their foray into Web3. What a mess. Anyways, where are we at with the tournament there, Ryan? Can we get some updates?
Yeah, you read my
finals?
mind. I was just about to share. We got one citizen left and 4 players, and looks like he's sitting there in third. So this thing should finish up probably in the next, 5-10 minutes here. Oh, we got a jam right there, short stacked. Man, I've been pretty lucky. Every time I've shared screen, we get an all in. Oh, he's done.
Give us a little wrap of what's happening here.
Well, yeah, what we got here is, let's see, we got a 25K big blind. So your top stack here has still less than 30 big blinds. So 30 bigs is generally when you're getting short. So pretty much everyone here is short stacked. We usually make these tournaments have 5-minute blinds so that they finish in 2.5 hours. Generally, that's been a good format for us to keep people's attention. So what you're going to see here is just a lot of aggressive play as people try to get to the top. A lot of all-in pre's. Big stack here is going to force the pressure. Yeah, exactly. These guys are trying to ladder up in the pay scale here. Let's see what we got. Yeah, we got 150, 175. And then fourth is 50. So effectively, they're playing for some extra cash here, and they're trying to ladder up and win some more prizes.
Didn't you say the winner gets in on this Pudgy Penguins tournament? Is that right? Or was it? Yeah. Or is it a different one?
So that was the one from Sunday. So we essentially started this. The official Pudgy Penguins Club, and we're sending one person to the main event this year in Vegas. So there's 6 satellites here starting this Sunday. They're gated for little Pudgies and Pudgy Penguins for now. And then Virtue went ahead we couldn't quite swing the getting a pudgy, but we bought a little pudgy, and we integrated this company called Delegate.xyz last week, which allows you to kind of delegate rights to your NFT to another wallet. So each week on Sunday, we run a tournament, and the winner of that gets delegated our little pudgy to enter these events. So we may look to do something similar with Neo Tokyo. We're going to see how this one goes. Definitely found that when we partner with communities, they are looking for some support on the creativity of how to structure some of these promos, which kind of makes sense. That was the key learning that we've kind of come to over the last 6 weeks here.
Nice. I was wondering too. I mean, you have to be a holder. A lot of these tournaments, you have to be a holder of an asset, like a certain community's NFT or a certain amount of Virtue Poker token, right? VPP. Why have you not done some kind of like staking to get in? It's just holding. I mean, it's very convenient to be able to do that. Any thoughts of that? Just the convenience?
We're exactly what we're going to do. It's going to become stake to play. And then something that we also haven't introduced yet, I mean, it's built in the app, but we haven't started using, is you can stake tokens, and based on your stake and your lockup, you get a certain amount of chips. And then we start making the tournaments and cash tables and chips. And then you can essentially effectively get more chips the more you stake. And then those events will have various prizes and various promos in it. It's almost like any project will be able to take advantage of this, and it can be like play to earn as a service, so to speak. So that's coming in the tokenomics update that I've been meaning to get out for a couple of weeks, but things have just been kind of crazy. But yeah, the stake to play, essentially we'll just see if you've staked, and then we automatically credit you chips based on that.
All right. Well, how's this looking? How's this tourney here? Who's our citizen?
We've got Armad here. Yeah, these guys are playing tight. This thing should be finished in the next 5 to 10 minutes here. But yeah, the other thing that we're looking to do, we kind of tested it out. Not this Sunday, but Super Bowl Sunday was starting to do the cross community battles. I mean, this is like Citizens versus Virtue, but the other week we had Buffacorns from ETH Denver, this thing of ours, Citizens, Rug Radio, all played against each other. And we're hoping to tap into some of these community grudges that you see on your timeline and Twitter and start having them hash it out in poker. I think getting the apes versus pudgies would be like chef's kiss if we can get there. But
yeah, let's see it, man.
Yeah,
it's much better than these crypto nerds like pretending like they're gonna fight on Twitter. Come on, just play some poker here, man. Stop this baloney.
Yeah, man, I want to see Brighty on there.
Everyone was piling on Yuga, and then they bought Moonbirds, and it was just like, you're making it easy. Oh, here we go. Man, this guy short stacked is no one has a heart. And well, I don't know.
Man, he's making a little comeback here.
Yeah, man, he had
he doubled up on Armad and damn near doubled up there.
Yeah, and I guess one of the biggest kind of changes was it was actually Neo Tokyo that was like the start. Oh, this is a good showdown. Oh, and he gets there. He is running hot.
Oh,
that was 80. That was like 80-20. He was behind. Oof.
Nitro is the one that knocked me out. So, I'm glad to see Nitro made it to the final table. I lost to a very worthy opponent, it seems.
Oh, his queen should take it. Yeah, he got it. Now we're down to 3. But yeah, I was actually just hanging out in the Neo Tokyo Discord. This is 2 years ago, and we wanted to host a poker tournament, and everyone was like, all right, let's do it on Virtue. And we couldn't at the time. And I recommended using this site Poker Now. And that was the seed that kind of started this whole pivot into this new direction where it was wow, we should be able to partner with communities instead of trying to get all the users ourselves. So yeah, so far it's been playing out quite well.
Awesome. Armad trying to make a comeback here, going all in. It looks like.
Yeah, we got
There
a
we
little
go.
guy who goes so rigged, making it to the final table. Guess rigged for you. And you'll still have guys who will say like that, the RNG, this, that, the other. One of the biggest misconceptions for, I'd say, more recreational players is the human mind sometimes can't wrap its head around variance. Like you can, in fact, lose a 1 in 10 3 times in a row. Like that's just possible. And people always say, oh, the site's rigged. When you play enough poker, you have both the up and down swings.
We got an all in. Armad just went all in again.
Oh, and he just got screwed.
Oh,
It
the
was a
10
coin flip.
beat him. No.
It was a coin flip, and the last citizen goes down. Oh, so
Hey, so we'll see who wins this one. It looks like that was cool to see our last citizen make it through to number 3 here, a little bronze medal action. Well, we got Hustle here. It would be great just if we could do a little quick overview of what you got going on at Nexus Labs. I know a lot of that went live recently. I'd love to see a little bit more about how that works and what are the features that the holders are getting access to. If you want to just show us real quick.
Yeah, for sure. I can just go ahead and share my screen here. Give me just a second. Share screen. All right, there we go. So yeah, I mean, basically, a lot of the stuff we put out now is more so to replace the incumbents, like a Coin Market Cap, like a NFT Nerds, an OpenSea Blur, all the stuff that you use for your watch list, all the stuff that you use for your investment tracking. Like we can hop over here to the watch list. You can do the same filtering that you can on some other platforms. You can make as many watch lists as you want. And you can go over to the dashboard here. You can track your portfolio. You can see your watch list. You can see your favorite games here on the side. And you can click over to the games tab. You can see all of these different products. Let's just click into one that's been hot. One of our partners here, Heroes of Mavia. You can kind of see all the breakdown, all the different reviews. We've got 42 reviews on this one already. Probably a good sign that people are enjoying this game. You can actually jump in directly to the game with these links. You can review, you can add it to your favorites. You can see the assets here, Heroes of Mavia token. Go ahead and pop that out. We can see kind of like that chart action. You can see that month. I mean, it's been absolutely killing it. It shows the market caps, where it's trading, all that good stuff. But let's move over to the NFTs because I think this is good for this particular show. Let's click on Neo Tokyo here. You can go ahead and in a quick glance see the floor price. You can see the volume over the 24 hours. You can see the market cap of the collection, how many are listed, and all the recent sales. You can see the different volume per day coming through the door. You can see the floor price action over history, as well as the holder distribution. So unlike a lot of collections, Neo Tokyo is super healthy. If you notice, only 97% of the holders have one citizen. That's a pretty good ratio. Like most collections can't really say that. Like there's the whales and stuff. There's 1% that own 10. Like most collections can't really say that. So it's pretty cool just to see some of these metrics across the board. We have dedicated crypto gaming tabs. You can see pixels, daily volume, Xi, IMX. It's really a good degen tool to kind of find new coins, see what's trending, see what's getting the volume, and then be able to track your investments. As you see, we have it on, like, you can have privacy mode, like if you're streaming, so you don't have to show like all your wallets and stuff like that, but you can show your whole portfolio at a glance. Shout out to, where's my VPP? There we go. Shout out to the VPP here. But I had to do that while Ryan's here. But you can see I have my hot wallet, cold wallet, my Solana wallet, my NFT wallet, our Nexus vault, all tracked in here. So you can put as many wallets as you want, any EVM chain, Solana. So yeah, we're really working on just having that all integrated here for everyone to really optimize their experience tracking their investments. And then we have mining on the way. We have airdrop farming on the way. We have a lot of different updates to the NFT side of the platform coming as well. Some trading tools with Photon. So yeah, we're trying to just ship this thing fast and furious and get this thing out. So that's kind of the overview of V1. We also have the Nexus pad, but that's just more for NFT holders where we have our like fundraisings and stuff like that. But that's kind of just a quick rapid fire glance through the platform.
Super cool.
Amazing.
And how would one get access to this here? What do they have to hold or?
Currently, Nexus holders can get into this. So yeah, if you just have a Nexus pass, you can log in. You just link up your wallet and you can get right in. I think by the time April comes around, we'll be going into our V2 with our new updates, like I just mentioned, with like the airdrop farming, mining, all the stuff that's like people would deem those like make money features. That's when we're going to go public, and then Nexus holders have full access and they never have to pay for a recurring membership. And then we're going to open up recurring memberships to get access to all those features.
That's super cool. Yeah, I mean, for this thing, ours, Nexus, you guys started, it's not like you came out of Neo Tokyo, but you were always connected with Neo Tokyo in a way. And there's been a lot of projects that have come out and kind of like copied a lot of things that Neo Tokyo's doing, I should say, and maybe not quite as well. Whereas I think what you're doing is very unique in the space. I've heard a lot of comments from respective people that are deep into the space, because there's a lot of, how do you say, people getting fed up with how founders act and, all the promises and under delivering. And just a shout out to you for amazing stuff you guys are building that is very useful for the holders. Everyone I know who's in the communities there is super stoked. So, GG's on all that, and hope to keep seeing it grow in a good direction.
Yeah, super excited.
I appreciate that.
Super excited when you mentioned Photon as well. I've been day and night playing around with that platform, just trading meme coins and having no liquidity issues. It's just so seamless. So seeing that you're on top of that with the Solana ecosystem, it's just amazing to see.
Yeah, we're gonna tap into the ETH and the Solana side of their platform. So we're really just trying to like optimize the experience. Like I said, it's already hard enough to navigate between all these different platforms and which ones you trust and where to get the best information from. You're bouncing around trying to get all this information, and why not have one place where you can get it all? That's kind of our goal. And then by the time the next cycle comes around, like, why should a new person who's interested in, let's just say, like My Pet Hooligan, have to go search for, which one should I buy? Zuckbots or My Pet Hooligan, like the Genesis? What's their token? How do I play? That type of stuff. Like, we want to make it as easy as possible to onboard into quality projects. And then from there, we hope that user experience was so good that they find that next project on Nexus.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That's sick. I also loved like adding all different wallets from different chains into one platform. Like, I'm already, now that I'm like in more of a multi-chain world, I thought it's already such a pain in the ass.
Oh yeah. And I got fed up myself, like doing the freaking what is it, DBank, DApp Radar portfolio trackers, because it's just one wallet at a time, and some of them like DApp Radar, it's only one chain at a time. So it's like you have to filter through Binance, Polygon, Ethereum. You can't see a snapshot of all of your assets, and we've got it to where even it's in beta currently, but you can even see your Sol NFTs, which not a lot of platforms allow you to track Solana NFTs or even track Solana tokens. Like you can just see like your bag of Solana tokens. Most of them are just EVM, and we're adding compatibility for exchanges, like centralized exchanges. We're adding compatibility for Bitcoin wallets. We're going to do ordinals. So there's a lot in the pipeline, and just super excited. And I love what Zihai said. Like I try to kind of innovate things that, really aren't being done. I hate the copycat nature of Web3. So that meant a lot. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's a great UI too.
All right, well, I'm going to be checking that out.
He's a killer on the UI, that's for sure.
Love it.
Super smooth.
I got a question though for you. So when you were showing like the project page earlier and like the information there, how are you getting that? Is that based on like an in-house team putting that together, or are you scraping that?
Yeah. And I'll do one that has like an extensive amount of collections. So like obviously the token tracking and like the floor price tracking is with like data providers, of course. But all the game data that we've inputted here is manual. Like, is it free to play? When was it created? What are the websites? What are the like all the assets, the images, the write ups? They're all custom. We actually have a guy on our staff, Tots. The Neo Tokyo guys might know Tots, but he
Tots
actually
a legend,
has been, yeah, he's been crushing it. He's the one that's kind of in charge of the game assets and putting together like Wilder World. Look how many freaking collections they have. Like he's the one that kind of went out and sourced all that for us. So the live price action stuff is from data providers, of course, but all the information you see is curated from in-house.
See that, I think that's huge because like even like our coin market cap page, it took forever to try to get them to change it. And it's like you have on our page information that's so old. So like maybe at the start you don't have everything under the sun that exists, but you at least know that the content and the information there is like actually up to date. And I think that that's like one of these things that's a big risk when people are trying to do their own research.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing we want to do, like for VPP, for example, like we want to integrate as much as possible of what you guys want to display as well. So that's one thing we want to work with projects to like, what are you really focused on making sure that, you know, people understand about the ecosystem or the token or the game or whatever the case may be. Like that's one thing we really are prioritizing with like our partners and projects that we're just kind of in the same network with. So definitely like if there's ever anything like that you want to add or that you kind of want to customize about the page, like we're absolutely on board with that.
For sure. No, it's sick. I love it.
Awesome, guys. Well, I think we're going to wrap up for the day. We've had a nice time together. Super appreciate Hustle you jumping on, Ryan as well. Definitely over at Neo Tokyo News, we're stoked to have Virtue Poker as our official sponsor and all the work we're just starting to do together. Looking forward to building more in the future. Would love to get a little bit more integration with what you guys got going on at Nexus too. It's pretty awesome. Tots, of course, has been working with us at Neo Tokyo News for over a year as well. So we definitely have those connections. Always appreciate when you jump by this space, when you jump by our NFT Market Monday. We're going to have a cool NFT Market Monday show this next week with Mixmob coming on, team behind Halo, FIFA, and all that. So that's going to be a fun one. So you guys are all definitely welcome to swing by there as well. And hope you can jump back to see us at Degen Digest again soon. Any final thoughts anybody wants to share, or should I throw it over to Shamsi to take us out?
Send us home. Thanks for having me as always.
All right.
Yeah, man. Look, guys, Gong Man's headed to the Gong. Thanks so much to Hustle. Thanks so much to Ryan for hopping on. But Woodges left us early because he's degenning. Until next time, work hard and stack away the coins so that one day you can just retire your jersey and go back home. That's game.